Hi everybody, it's Mark the Family Woodworker. Hey, this week we do a quick summary of this amazing multicolored 3D wood art project with a beautiful result at the end. You know, that picture is totally Photoshopped. Wood is brown, wood stain is brown. Sorry dude, it's real. Watch. Nope, it's not fake. And I really wanted something colorful to fill the void above my desk. Variably sized blocks were my first thought, like you'd find in an acoustic wall. But I like the look of curved lines rather than hard edges. I also want color. Something not so easy with a product like wood and its lovely shades of, well, brown. I'll need a frame for this artwork, and we'll start with this dark wenge wood frame that I intended for another project. But rather than scrap it, I'll cut it down to fit my plans for this project. I could have also recycled any other sturdy picture frame, and sometimes your best source is a thrift store like the Salvation Army or Goodwill. Most stores will have a great variety of used wooden frames. A little sanding and some black paint or stain, and you're good to go. I also wanted to keep the cost of the project down, so I'll be using pine, though I picked out some better quality pine without knots. I assembled my frame with CA glue just to hold the corners together, and then drilled in some walnut dowels to reinforce those joints. It was easy to trim the dowels off with a flush cut saw. Once I knew the measurements of the inside back of the frame, I could start to cut the pine slats. I started with my clear 1x3 pine and cut 13 pieces at 20.5 inches long for my project. I then ripped them in half down the length to give me 26 pieces about 1 3/8 wide. This could be a great scrap wood project too. Whatever wood you choose to use, be sure to cut around any knots or imperfections as you go. Before I start to cut in my curves, I need to allow 3/8 of an inch thickness on the ends of each board to fit inside the frame's back ledge. I marked those on the boards as a reference line to start each cut. I started at the end tab and freehanded a curve cut as smoothly as I could, varying the sizes of the curves as I went. There is no incorrect way to do it, just be sure not to cut the bottom of the board too thin or it won't provide enough of an edge for gluing. The goal was to make each board unique so that the curves are different as you stacked them together. As I got to the end of the cut, I left the same 3/8 inch tab at the opposite end so that it fits inside the back of the frame. No matter how good and smooth my cuts were, I still had quite a bit of sanding to do to get the curves smooth enough for color stain and finishing. My spindle sander was the best tool for the job to speed up the process, but hand sanding could have worked too. I started with 80 grit paper on the sander and finished with 240 grit. Now I could lay out my sanded pieces to see how they looked next to each other. If the cut pieces side by side were too similar, I moved the pieces around until it started to look good. When the design pattern was set, I numbered them on the ends to keep the order of assembly straight. It's time to talk about color. Though I'm not sponsored by Minwax, I liked using their custom semi-transparent wood stains. I had never tried these stains until I saw a great video by Jackman Works and his custom blending of colors for a cool effect on a fireplace accent wall. Be sure to check out his video too. My design will blend 3 colors, crimson, sky blue, and wheatgrass, and I'll mix them in graduated increments from red at the top to sandy earth tones on the bottom. I'm hoping that it'll look a little bit like the colors of a sunset, passing down through cool water tones in the middle and then finishing with grass and earth tones at the bottom of the piece. I wound up with 25 different colors and wiped each custom color on with a paper towel and then wiped off the excess immediately with another clean sheet. The red and blue color combinations were first at the top of the artwork, and eventually the blue would be mixed with the wheatgrass to complete the bottom pieces. The colors on the wood grain are simply amazing. Well, 7 o'clock, it had been a long day and the stain boards were left to dry overnight. Time for some grub. Anytime you add moisture to wood grain, there's little fibers that'll stand up and ruin a smooth finish. So without intending to sand away any of the color, I use these 1800 grit sanding pads to lightly knock down any rough spots on each board. This took a little more than an hour to get the wood ready for glue up. Parts of these little boards were very thin, so it was important to lay down a very thin bead of glue on the bottom of each colored piece so that the glue wouldn't show in between the boards. It was important to be accurate, but work fast before the glue started to dry. The boards were clamped and left to dry for 6 hours. While the glue dried, I took the opportunity to finish sand my wenge and Paduke wood frame, and then started to lay down 3 coats of satin polyurethane as my finish. When the glue had dried on the art piece, I set it up in my makeshift spray booth for the first of 3 coats as well. As soon as the finish hit the wood, the shiny colors really started to pop. To secure the colored wood panel inside the frame, I added a little hot glue just to tack the 2 pieces together, and then cut some strips of leather left over from another project. I started by gluing one corner of the frame with a leather strap, stretching it across the wood to sort of bungee it to the corner. I did this on all 4 corners and it was pretty solid. Flipping it over for the first time to see the finished work caught me a little by surprise, as the dark wenge wood really looks fantastic against the rainbow of glossy colored pine. I also drilled in some small holes to accept a threaded eye screw 6 inches down from the top of the frame, so I could then attach some wire across the back of the frame. This should make it secure enough to hold the weight. Altogether, the finished piece weighs about 6.5 pounds or almost 3 kilos. So if you try this project yourself, be sure to anchor it properly on the wall you choose. It really looks amazing as it hangs above my desk, and I could see a larger, wider piece being a focal point in any room, though the weight of the work is something that needs to be considered. The colors are truly vibrant with the Minwax semi-transparent stains, and the satin polyurethane was the right call for the finish. I am really pleased with this outcome. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video and consider subscribing to our little channel. Take care.